Peace, love, and light, family. Back again. Frequency. Light beings. Give one a view of nature, of of the frequency that one has tapped into, one's heart chakra. Give a good view. So today's video will be focused on deprogramming one's mind. And deprogramming one's mind, and more of what one was speaking on yesterday in my video on words, cutting out words that separate one from oneself, because one is everything and everything is oneself. Well, when one's on the same frequency as another, one will tend to be telepathic without one's use of words. When one does not use words, one focuses on feeling and one's body language. One's body language is more than just what comes out of one's mouth, but what one says with one's actions, with one's emotions. When one is feeling sad, one can feel this. If one has ever been in love with another reflection, another being, one will have this connection with the being that one has fallen in love with, and one will feel the emotion, one's emotion, before one even says anything. This is the consciousness, the frequency of vibration, the enlightenment that one is coming to. The time of non-verbal communication is what is, in essence, going to come, the cycle of this. And when one comes to this consciousness and one comes to this frequency of understanding words are spells, and how one articulates words and casting positive spells, one will be able to manipulate, maneuver, and control how one's reality is constructed. More so than just thought of what one wants to manifest, and most of the things that one does to manifest. In my previous old videos, I have spoken on many subjects of manifesting with the mind, and how one positions himself to receive abundance and blessings from the ether, from Mama. But there is more to it than what meets the eye. Breaking down consciousness, breaking down spells, breaking down words, reiterating, and going deeper to the point of the highest, or a really high frequency, and then some. Because once one breaks these down, they will become more and more clear, more clairvoyant, more pure, more more conceptualized by one's mind. So this is what I am here to do, is to give these messages and to give this clairvoyance and to give this clarity of the mind, of one's mind, to be able to reach this consciousness and to come into nature, to come back to the source, to come back to one's authentic self. Now, when one stops using these words that separate oneself from what one is everything. When one stops using these words of separation, one cannot be negative. One cannot, this cuts out all hate and all negativity and into just pure enlightenment, a stream of pure ecstasy, enlightenment, one's feeling of boundless joy of expression. Because one cannot say, I hate myself, or I hate I. When one takes out you, when one takes out they, when one takes out other, when one takes out words of separation, one can no longer be negative, one can no longer perceive and be able to speak in a low vibrational state, because one is talking to self. When one realizes that they are everything, when one realizes that everything is them and they are everything, or one is everything and everything is one has to cut out the middle man, the negative, low vibrational frequency of state of mind, and useless conversation, useless discussion, useless words. This is the enlightenment that one comes to. The enlightenment is through words and thought. When one changes the frequency to a high frequency state of mind, where one is no longer using these negative spells, these words that are cast upon through one's voice. One is not just casting spells upon a reflection of self, but one is casting spells upon self as well. The way sound works is when one speaks, one says something, what appears to be external from you, when one reflection says something, simultaneously this is being said in one's mind. Sound works through that. Sound works through when one hears something, one is receiving the same message, the same signal in one's mind. So one is saying it in one's mind, even if one isn't saying it, reflection of self. If reflection of self is saying something, then that is one saying it, because one is everything and everything is one. So one realizes that there is no separation, there is no they, there is no you, there's only one. So when one speaks, when one talks, when one casts spells, when one says and speaks into the ether, one has to be mindful of what one is saying, because one changes the vocabulary and changes words and how one articulates sentences, and one comes to the conscious level that one is everything and everything is one. So this does not allow for any hate. This does not allow for any fuck oneself. Fuck who? Fuck oneself? Fuck me? No. No. One does not say this. One does not cast spells upon itself. When one's at a conscious level of understanding, one will not cast spells upon self, negative spells upon oneself. When one realizes, one sends out good, positive spells. I love myself. I love myself. I am great. I am beautiful. I am all. I am love. I am light. I am happy. These are positive spells one casts when one is vibrating at high frequency or high consciousness. High frequency, high vibrational beings, high consciousness, high divine beings do not quarrel, do not tamper, and do not get down and lay on the ground with the lower self. One does not do this. One does not get down to the level of consciousness vibrating from the lower self. One does not do this. When one is a high frequency, when one is a high vibration, one is positive. One is casting positive spells. One is sending positive signals out into the ether, into the internet. And then one receives the same signals one sends out. This is how the law of attraction works. When one sends positive signals out, one receives positive signals back, because everything is everything in a reflection, a mirror. Everything is a mirror. When one acts negatively, one will receive negative beings or negative energy in some form, shape, that will affect one's being and one's reality. When one's positive and one sends out positive spells and affirmations and positive energy, one will receive the same thing, because life in this existence, in realm, is a reflection of self. Everything is a reflection of self. There is no separation. Everything is one. So how one acts, how one carries, how one brings himself of understanding and consciousness and actions, words, all reflect back to oneself. We are light beings, light energy, refractions of the sun, encountering other refractions, just boom, bouncing back and forth, back and forth. One's vibe will attract one's tribe. This is facts. This is reality. This is how the construct of one's realm works. We are all part of a collective consciousness from the archetype, from the Christ consciousness. Collective consciousness. All expressions of that consciousness manipulating one's energy in an astral form, an astral consciousness. We're all an astral consciousness, astrologically manipulating energy in whatever form it flows, whatever form God wants to flow through one's being. This is the conscious level that one must come to understand. Because when one comes to understand that one is part of a collective consciousness, an astral consciousness, a Christ consciousness, a archetype, God consciousness, one realizes that all things external from oneself is a reflection of self. So when one looks out into reality and looks, what is one surrounded by? What is one subjecting themselves to? What is one a part of? If one sees squares, boxes, low vibrational beings, what state of mind is one vibrating at? Is one lying to themselves? One cannot lie to self. It is impossible for one to lie to oneself, because one is everything. One can't hide. Everything in this existence is being recorded. Everything in this existence, one's actions, one's way of manipulating energy and one's conscious level is being recorded in this existence, and formulating, constructing a world built off one's experiences, conscious level, and ability to maneuver and understand rising to a higher conscious level in this existence. If one fails at this in this existence, then a world will be constructed in another realm, in another reality, based off the conscious level of one in this existence. So if one is slaughtering, killing, massacring animals, which is a reflection of self, when one understands that one is everything, one realizes that this is a reflection of self, one will create a world where one will experience these same things. One will reincarnate into a pig, a cow, a deer, whatever one has failed at and has not has forgotten to realize will experience. Pain will be one's teacher, and one will experience pain, and pain will be the teacher, and pain is something that all in this cycle or the next cycle will have to go and grow through to come into the higher consciousness, to come into the Christ consciousness. So, this is something that one has to realize. We are coming into the nothingness. We are coming into the now. Omnipresence. Time does not exist. Only the now exists. Now is changing rapidly, always changing. Sun up, sun down. Night, day. Rain, sunshine. This is all existing in the now. The reason that beings believe that the now does not exist and that there is time, that time exists, is because cycles and changing, the rapid changing of the now. The now is nothing but everything. The now changes rapidly. The now is never the same, but it is the now. Weeks do not exist. Months, years do not exist. Time does not exist. The now exists. We're coming into the nothingness. We're coming into the cycle of nonverbal communication. We're coming into the cycle of where one is going to communicate through action and vibration, what one feels, operating from one's heart. When one operates from one's heart, one will feel more than one will speak. When one looks into nature, when one looks into the animal kingdom, one can see that all of nature, all of divine expressions of God, the Christ consciousness, operates in harmony with little to less communication. Everything is felt. Nothing is intellectualized in a vocal form. And if it is, it's less. Less is more. Less is more. When one speaks less, one can observe, feel, and grasp and receive more information. When one is yep all the time, one is creating insulation, an insulator in oneself, not allowing for one to observe and use other senses of the body that one can tune into, tap into, just as one has tapped into nature, just as one has tapped into the heart chakra, just as one has tapped into the frequency of Mama. One can tap into the senses of the body, of one's being, and be able to use these senses and feelize and tap into and become stronger and become more of what one is. But words have enslaved the mind, have enslaved all my reflections' minds into a low vibrational consciousness. And until we break these spells, until one breaks the words that one has been programmed to use, one will not experience these divine, enlightened states of consciousness. One will not come to these understandings. The time is now. Change the way one speaks, change the way one thinks. This is example. I have come here and presented myself in front of my reflections, my beings, the beings that are following me, the beings that are grasping the information that one is reflecting, the light that one is reflecting. I have come here in my form, in my astral form, to be able to reiterate and send out the signal for ones to grasp, receive, reflect, and download. And I am setting the example. Not only am I speaking the truth, the message, the way, the path, and the light, but one is also living. One can see right now, I am changing the way that I speak. In my videos, I am changing the way that I speak. I am giving the example just as I'm going and growing through this. In 30, 40 days, 30 days, I will have this down pat where when one speaks, it will be less, but it will be more, and it will be powerful. When one opens their mouth, when one opens their mouth, what comes out should mean everything and should be groundbreaking, shaking. When one speaks, one should have such a power with words that it touches and one will feel. In this society, in this time and space, this realm, this lifetime, this cycle, in this time in the cycle, we are over-consuming and we're over-consuming. We're consumption with words, consumption with food, consumption with, and food's everything. Food is everything. Consumption with everything that one uses. One needs to break down the spells that have been cast upon with the words, with the consumption of food, with all that we have been taught and programmed, and deprogram that, and get back in tune with the nothingness, get back in tune with the nonverbal communication, get back in tune with being, just being, I am. To bare minimal, to being minimalists, to realizing the power of silence. Silence is very powerful. Does one notice whenever they're in an argument or a disagreement with a reflection of self, and there's silence in between that argument, disagreement? I remember those were the most powerful moments, and the powerful moments in between those disagreements that one had with oneself. When one has an argument and then there's utter silence. That is the most powerful thing that speaks way louder than words. When one is silent, this speaks louder than words. And we need to conceptualize and come into this consciousness. I am an example of this. I am growing and going through, and one is able to see this. I am reflecting this image. I'm reflecting the light, my growth. I'm reflecting the growth. I am growing. I am changing. I am raising up to my higher consciousness. I am my higher consciousness. I am love, I am light. I am transforming. I am all. I am everything. I am you. I am me. There is no you. I and I. Anyways, reflections. I will give some shout outs to my reflections. Peace and love to all. Yeah. Rakeb. Peace, love, and light, Rakeb. Rama. Peace, love, and light. Peace, love, and light, reflection. Sean. Peace, Sean. Peace, love, and light, reflection. Afi. Peace, peace, peace. Pepper Farms. Peace, peace, Pepper Farms. Coach Green. Peace, Coach Green. Coach Green. I hope I'm saying my reflections names right. Aubrey. Peace, Aubrey. Peace, love, and light. Jamaica M. Jamaica M. Peace, Jamaica. I hope pronouncing your name right. One's name right. Greatness reflection. Oh, this is Sean. Greatness. I love myself. Okay. Peace, love, and light, family. This is a little divine wisdom. I will give a little reflecting that light, reflecting the heart chakra where one needs to be. One needs to deprogram the mind. Change your perception, change one's thoughts, change one's reality. I love myself.